Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Again, if you have any questions at any time during the webinar, you can go ahead and type those questions in your GoToMeeting control panel. I'll answer the questions as they come up. If we're going to answer any of those questions during the course of the webinar, I'm going to hold off from answering them specifically then, and we'll get to them when we can. And any questions, also, we'll leave a couple minutes at the end for questions too. Also, remember this webinar is going to be recorded, so you can always access it in a couple of days on our web services customer portal. If you need any information on how to get to there, you can just call the office and ask for one of our service team. They can show you how. So today we're going to talk about creating and maintaining a free intranet site. The program we're talking about is Windows SharePoint Services. So first we're going to answer what it actually is. We're going to go into creating your WSS site. That's how I'm going to refer to it for the rest of the webinar. Then we'll talk about getting your plan together for actually making the site. Now that might sound a little backwards, but as we go through the webinar, it'll be pretty clear why. I want everybody to be able to see what the capabilities are first. Then when you're working on getting your plan together, you'll know, have a better base on where to start. I'm going to close by actually showing you what's possible. I've built a sample site that, we see a lot of agencies use this similar content, and what we have found that a lot of agencies that we work with have, really find works for them that are using SharePoint. So Windows SharePoint Services, we're up to version 3.0. Again, it is a free program from Microsoft. It works on Windows 2003 server, so the only real requirement is that you do have a Windows 2003 server at your business. And what it is, again, is a website that only is accessible inside your network to manage any kind of content that you may have. We'll get into some examples of what that content might be, but the nice things about it is it's very easy to manage that content, and it's very easy to ensure the integrity of that content. Now what that means is there are different permissions that you can set on every part of SharePoint that only allow the people who should be editing that content to do so, and you can track who's been editing it, what they've done, and when they did it. You can get users up to speed very quickly with this solution. It is very easy to manage. It takes about maybe a half hour to get installed on your server. Fairly easy for whoever your tech company is to do that, or I'm sure with some of the guides on Microsoft's website, you could take care of it yourself. Once it's actually installed, to create your site and manage your content, you don't have to have any kind of technical experience or any kind of web development experience. It's all done with nice point-and-click interfaces, very easy to manage. And the nice thing is you can actually delegate that management and have several people do it, have certain people manage certain sections, and so on. It's very easy to secure the site, like I had mentioned. So reducing the complexity of managing your site and managing all your business information can be a great productivity boost. And again, you can provide a cost-effective foundation for your web application because, well, it's free. It just takes a little bit of time, and hopefully the goal here is we're going to leave everyone with having a good understanding to be able to get that site up and running as quickly as possible. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get right to it. We're going to switch over to our SharePoint site I've got running here on a virtual server. And this is the website. This is what you see after it's been installed on your server. And again, since it's done through a web browser, you can manage it from your workstation as well. You don't need to be logged into the server. For the sake of the demo, I'm doing it right from our server, but you're probably going to do this right from your desks. So this being our site, you see not a lot of content here. Everything on the left-hand side, this is called the quick bar, or the quick launch bar. Some people call it the navigation bar. There are different sections here. You see shared documents, calendar, tasks, and so on. In the middle, you'll see we've got announcements, we've got calendars. Again, these are all defaults. Every item you see is called a web part. So it's good to know that terminology. Everything is managed in web parts. Now, there's lots of different web parts here. Again, these are the default ones. So we're going to talk about, oh, got a couple people saying they can only see the PowerPoint. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, how we doing now? We should be able to see the screen. Okay, so hopefully again everybody can see the SharePoint screen now. Again, what I was talking about, all these different sections, they're called web parts. And I'm going to show you first what the different options for having web parts are. You're going to manage everything you're doing on your site to actually design it from this Site Actions button. When the site is set up for you, you're going to need to be made, the site owner, the administrator, to have access to this. We're not going to give standard users that because you really don't need everyone being able to access your site. So under Site Actions, we're going to go to Create. And here's a complete list of all the different kind of web parts that are available for your SharePoint site. You can make document libraries, pretty self-explanatory. That's where you're going to hold all your different documents, procedures, training manuals, company information, different things like that. Form libraries, pretty self-explanatory. It's just like a document library, but you can actually use other programs such as Microsoft InfoPath, which is like a form creation program to put forms in here that can automatically be filled out rather than having to, tab through documents and put answers in the right form fields. A wiki page, anybody who's ever heard of Wikipedia, what that is a wiki is almost like an online encyclopedia. You can have different content, explanations, definitions of terms, but then also links to other content that's related, pictures, you name it. So this would kind of be like your agency encyclopedia. A picture library is just that. It's a section where you can manage pictures. But the benefit of having the picture library rather than just throwing pictures in a document library is this kind of does like a thumbnail view, and you can do slideshow views right in there. Pretty neat if you're doing some company functions. You can upload all your pictures to a library, and it's almost like an online photo album. Announcements are just that. It's just kind of, a place to share news, updates, and a little bit of information on what's going on with the company, different departments, and so on. Contacts refers to a contact list. So you can have and manage your contact list here. If you have your contact list in Outlook or in Excel or other programs, they can actually be imported into SharePoint. For the most part, everything in SharePoint is going to be there by itself. It's not actually linking to other content. You can link back to public folders. If, say, you already have a contact list in public folders, you can make a SharePoint link that goes back to that. But it's not going to link to something that's in, say, your own Outlook mailbox. A discussion board are kind of like, web forums where you would have people post topics on certain subjects. Then you can have strings of replies down to them. It's not a real-time discussion. It's not like an instant message or a chat. But if anybody's ever been on any AMS or Applied or AskNet web boards, that's what this is this would be your own web board. For links, it's just that, list of links. So a good centralized place to manage all your links of carriers, of different companies you work with. Rather than having everybody manage their own through Internet Explorer, this is a good way to centralize everything, make sure all the information is consistent. And with those links, you can actually have a little notes field by it where you could, say, post your logins for those carrier websites. Calendar, this would be a calendar that's put inside SharePoint. Again, if you want to link to a public folder